welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Yeah, it's a little nasty out. Sleeting and freezing rain and all that kind of stuff. Windshield just keeps getting glazed over. This old pickup's heater is not that good. And I've had to stop a few times to scrape the ice off the windshield. And just out running some errands, making sure everyone in our tribe is good to go. Just because the weather's it's nasty. Roads are getting pretty slick, so if you're in this area or you're dealing with this kind of weather, definitely be wary of it and don't do anything stupid. If you haven't watched it, my wife and I made a little video over on YouTube, Rumble today, talking about stuff we can't talk about here on YouTube. Had a few complaints about the grinding noise of the coffee grinder because I'm grinding coffee, an old-fashioned one. Sorry about that. Really didn't think about that at the time. It's not bad, but you know, for 10 minutes or so you hear the coffee grinder. I don't know. You just deal with it, right? And you know, if you don't like it, don't watch it. People are pretty sensitive about things. Sensitive about sounds. My wife is. She's you know, sensitive about that kind of stuff. You know, if it's an irritating sound, doesn't like it. That's nothing bad or wrong. But we also have to. That's a rough spot in the road. Ooh. Anyways, we have to know that at some point in time we have to overcome these things that are you know, bothersome to us. Some people have certain like OCD tendencies, and I'm not putting them down. Please don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that that there's anything wrong with that. It's just, it is what it is. It's what some people have to cope with in life. But there's also just, I'm trying to choose my words carefully, but I figure I'm probably gonna make someone mad, so whatever, I might as well say it. We also have to realize that there are certain things that I think just because of our civilized world, we've become a little soft on. And even the things that we can't help because of neurological whatever. Ooh, just about hit a couple of deer. Too bad the camera wasn't pointing the other way. You enjoyed seeing that one. Whether they're neurological, you know, legitimate things that we have to cope with, you know, tendencies, OCD, whatever those things are, or not, the fact is that as this world becomes less civilized, as it's more destabilizing, there are things that may bother us. There are things that we may have to do that we just couldn't imagine in a civilized world doing, because whether they're, you know, gross us out, or they're things that kind of trigger us in certain ways that we just may have to do. And so when I'm talking to you folks from time to time about mental preparedness, psychological preparedness, this is part of it. Now, I'm not saying that if you don't like to hear my coffee grinder going while I'm sitting there grinding my coffee, that means you're weak. What I'm saying is that we have to consciously be aware of these things that bother us now, whether it's a texture, feeling, eating something we couldn't imagine eating. Some people can be fairly picky about food, and if that, you know, I'm not putting you down for that, but it's just, you know, some people are, some people aren't. In a destabilized world, in a world that's could become more chaotic and much less civilized, we may have to do some of these things that just make us feel uncomfortable, or that they may trigger certain things. And we have to have the mental strength to push through and do those things. Many of you have been in situations And I don't even go into the details or the possibilities because there's so many. But the fact is, some of you may have been in a situation like that where, maybe you lived on the street or something, or been in war or just from another country, and you've seen, or experienced horrific things that in a normal civilized world is not normal. And you know what I'm talking about. You had to push through. It was uncomfortable. It was unbearable. It triggered you. It caused, your mind to just kind of go crazy for a moment. But you had to push through it because you needed to survive. This is part of mental preparedness. We have to start preparing ourselves now. It may be something as simple as pushing yourself to not be so triggered or not to be so put off by certain things or not to allow things to affect you as much. Not everything you can overcome. I'm not saying that's the case. Some things maybe you can. But the fact is that there could be things in your life that you just can't imagine dealing with or hearing or seeing, and you may have to. One that comes to mind, I was actually talking to a friend a few weeks ago about this, of how some people they can't tolerate seeing death, blood, gory type things. If they see it in real life, they pass out or they, scream, get upset. And seeing death, especially traumatic types of deaths, it's not pleasant. It's not pleasant for anyone. But sometimes you just have to push through it. There may come a time in the future where you are in a situation where you see that, and you have to push past the emotional reaction to that, because your family are depending on you to survive. This is something that I'm not sure a lot of people really give a lot of thought to. I can't eat that kind of stuff. That's just disgusting. I wouldn't eat that, or oh no, I can't wear clothes that are dirty, or I can't imagine not having a shower, every day or every other day, or that kind of stuff. Well, you may have to go through that to survive. And so when you're developing the mental strength, that kind of what I call warrior mindset, that mindset that you will prevail, you will survive no matter what you face. Part of that is being able to adapt and overcome really rough situations. And that's going to come pretty easy for some of you, and others it's going to become pretty tough. And that's why I suggest now start in the beginning, just start role-playing these things. What are things that are just, they trigger you, they upset you, they cause an emotional reaction, and then how can you overcome that? Or at least, if you can't overcome it, get yourself in a mental place that you can push through it. Because you don't want to find yourself in a survival, life or death situation, and you're faced with something that causes you to just freeze, and you can't push through, and your family's depending on you, or just yourself, your own survivability is dependent upon you pushing through that and moving, or whatever the case may be. And you don't want to find yourself freezing because you're faced with something, a fear, or something that you never thought you could handle. The human mind is capable of much more than what most people think it is. And so we have to kind of push past some things and get ourselves in a place where we know that, we may not like this, it may not be what we want, it may just send chills up and down us, it may trigger us, may, you know, bring us into a place where we're seeing flashbacks of memories that were traumatic. But we can push through it. We have to. That's what surviving is we have to push through it. And we may not necessarily always see, you know, experience these things. The world may not get that bad, but there is a possibility. And because of that possibility, we need to be pushing through and getting ourselves mentally prepared for that kind of situation. Folks, it's time to get your houses in order, to prepare mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.